Okay, so today I want to share a secret that has helped me immensely in understanding human behavior, right? How can we understand human behavior? Actually, there's one thing that makes it really, really easy. When people did things I didn't understand, I used to ask, like, why are you doing that? And they would, using their words, give me a logical, rational explanation for all of the motivations psychologically that went in through, like, I thought this, therefore I did this, therefore. And it was really, really complicated. And you know what? It didn't help at all. The trick that I've learned is that if you want to understand human behavior, you need to understand human emotions. What we're thinking often has a relatively small impact on our actions. Most of the time, people aren't consciously aware of all of their motivations. A better question would be, what were you feeling? What were you feeling when you did that? And if we start focusing our attention to feelings rather than thoughts, all of a sudden it opens up so many doors, because the mind, the autistic mind, is so different to everyone else's that it's really, really hard to imagine what someone else is thinking. But thankfully, all our emotions work in exactly the same way, which means that if I start to understand how human emotions work, all of a sudden, everything makes sense. Everything makes sense. All behavior makes sense. It even explains the thoughts that go along with the behavior. So what I've learned is that emotions are the key. Emotions are the secret to understanding humans. So no matter if you're on the spectrum trying to figure out those crazy regular people, or whether you know someone on the spectrum and you're trying to understand what drives their seemingly abnormal autistic behavior, the answer is understand the emotions and you'll understand the behavior. A saying that I've come to really like recently is, autistic behavior is human behavior. It's just that it comes out at different times because we are triggered by different things than the rest of the population. Fear is fear, joy is joy, excitement is excitement. But if excitement is expressed in a way that others do not express excitement, all of a sudden that's autistic behavior, right? This is really funny actually, because you watch kids and all kids flap their hands when they're excited. They just move their entire body when they're excited. Anyway, let's not go there. So once I started realizing this, my communication skills improved immensely. My emotional awareness improved immensely, mainly because I was focusing on it. The biggest difference was that I started just understanding where people were coming from. And I didn't have to get into their mind to do it, because their mind was just so complicated that I was never going to guess what they were thinking. It was impossible to guess what they were thinking. But because it's so easy to figure out what they're feeling, all of a sudden the world makes sense. People make sense, behavior makes sense, and that you can imagine how much anxiety that reduced, because I wasn't living in an unpredictable world anymore. I wasn't living with unpredictable people anymore. And that predictability meant that I could now trust people to behave in a certain way, which is the basis for being able to start forming real relationships. How can you form a relationship with someone if you can't predict their behavior? How can you trust someone if they're going to act unpredictably in ways you can't possibly imagine? So the next time you see behavior that just doesn't make any sense at all, instead of asking what were they thinking, ask what were they feeling, and you've got a much, much better chance of getting to the bottom of explaining that behavior. Anyway, that's my little tip on that has helped me immensely in my life. I hope it also helps you. If you would like to support me to keep making videos like this, you can check out my Patreon link below. Otherwise, other ways to get involved are checking out my Facebook page or my written blog, or subscribing here to make sure you don't miss the next video. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you again soon, hopefully. Bye.